What's good, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. How are you doing? Hi the kids. Hello, I am QtheCostaRican, and today we are talking about my first year of competitive Pokemon experience, specifically in Pokemon Draft Leagues. Now, if you don't know what a Pokemon Draft League is, I'll give you a little bit of iteration right now. A Pokemon Draft League is basically a freaking group of people get together, they draft Pokemon, one per round, and then at the end of it all, they battle each other, and it's a good time. Their Pokemon are usually separated into tiers. They're usually tiered, as they say. You know, the best ones are obviously in the first tiers, and then, you know, it just matriculates down the field, boys. I'm not doing a good explanation about explaining Pokemon Draft Leagues. I'm sure there's a lot of videos out there for you guys if you want to, you know, learn about more about the intricacies of Pokemon Draft Leagues. But basically, back when I first started content creation last year, around June, I believe I started making content. And I really wanted to join Draft Leagues as part of my content creation, as well as me becoming a better battler, because growing up, I always wanted to get into competitive Pokemon. Just never really had the drive, or the means, I guess, to do it, other than like going into random like Wi-Fi battles on like my DS back in the day. I think if I remember correctly, the first time I ever did a Wi-Fi battle was in Gen 5, and I got mollywopped because I obviously used my in-game team. That was back before I knew anything about IVs, EVs, competitive natures, and anything like that. I knew nothing about anything. Long time ago. And yeah, but now here we are, in our with our first year of competitive Pokemon in the books. And I'm just gonna talk to you about it. So I'm gonna be like going off on a tangent here and there, like throughout the video. So just if you got something else to do, by all means, you know, alt tab, get your homework done, edit your video, but you know, just listen to your boy, because I got some good things to say, in my opinion. Maybe some advice you could adhere to in the near future. But either way, like I said, last year in June, I started creating content on my channel, QtheCostaRican. Subscribe to me down below, like the video. And a few months in, I was all like, man, I really want to start doing draft leagues on the channel. Like, I've always loved watching PokeAim and Shady Penguin and A-Drive and all them do draft leagues and stuff like that. And I wanted to, you know, dip my toe in there and get it going. And I reached out to my good friend at the time. Well, he's still my good friend. I just haven't talked to him in a while. My very first YouTuber friend, I might add. The first man I met on YouTube. Alolan Trainer Koa. My man, we were like brothers from another mother's, you know what I'm saying? It was a good time. We had a very strong connection, in my opinion, just like initially for no reason. He's just a good man. Go subscribe to him, even though he doesn't make content anymore. And he put me on to the DTC, otherwise known as the Destined Trainers Community Draft League. He sent me an invite to the server, and he said, yo, let him know you want to join the draft league. And I said, yo, I'm going to do it. I joined the server and did not let them know I wanted to join the draft league. I, for whatever reason, had it in my head that as soon as I joined the server, I was in. I was not in. I was definitely in the server. I was not in the league. So the first league we ever entered was the DTC draft league, but we did not get to join the league until week 3, meaning we missed out on the drafting process from the beginning, which kind of sucks because, like, it's not really your team, you know what I mean? Because, like, had I been selecting at that position, but the other guy was selecting, maybe I would have made a lot different picks. Maybe that was probably for the better, because I not knowing anything about competitive Pokemon besides what a normal fan would know, probably would not have drafted the best team. But either way, we entered the DTC draft league. Very first battle was against the commissioner himself. What's his name? BTP Raven. Go check him out. Links to his channel in the description down below. We fought Raven in our very first draft league battle ever. Didn't record it because at that time I was still iffy on whether I wanted to record a draft league that I didn't start by myself. You know what I mean? I started in week 3, took over for somebody else's team. We did get to make some transactions on the team, but at the same time, I just didn't feel like it was my team. But long story short, didn't record the very first battle, which was week 3, which we lost against BTP Raven. We would have won had we ran Scarf Kartana over Choice Band Kartana. I just, for whatever reason, had it in my brain that Choice Banded Kartana was the move, because I was heavily relying on Mega Pidgeot's Tailwind for whatever reason. That was back before I knew Tailwind was a bad single strategy, as well as Tailwind only lasting like 2 turns. Now, remember me saying Tailwind is a bad single strategy, because that will come back later in the video. But needless to say, we didn't record week 1, or week 3, I should say, our first game. We did record the second game, which I don't remember who it was against, but we did win that one. And Long story short, we finished our very first ever draft league season. Me personally, not counting the 2 losses that the coach had before I took over, we finished with a personal record of 6-3, meaning we won 6 games, lost 3 games, and we actually snuck into the playoffs with that record. Meaning our very first draft league we ever competed in, we made it to the playoffs, which is really fun. But unfortunately, we did lose in the first round of those playoffs. You know, it is what it is. Basically, what had happened was the entire regular season, I did the battles. My game plan was centered around getting up webs with Araquanid and then sweeping with Kartana or Garchomp. Or some of the third mon, right? That was like my main strategy going into all my games. And the good players caught on to that, meaning the coaches that made it to the playoffs caught on to that. Very first game in the playoffs, first round of the playoffs, went up against, I believe it was, oh man, what's that guy's name? Same SJT. Like, it was my first opponent in a playoff match. And he wiped the floor with me. Had my number, knew my strategy. I led off with Araquanid just like last time. He led off with his Latias, and that's the moment where I was put on to Magic Coat Latias, because I clicked webs. My man bounced them bitches right back to me, and then I clicked webs on turn 2, just because it's like, well, if webs are on my side, I hope webs are on your side. And then throughout the battle, that Latias was a very big problem, because he was the only Pokemon that was immune to webs. And yeah, definitely learned my lesson there. Lost in the first round, like I said. Definitely learned my lesson to not always stick to the same strategy no matter how good you may think it is, because there's always someone out there that's going to try and counter it. Needless to say, don't just differentiate away from your initial strategy just because you think the coach you're going against is a good coach. Still stick to your strategy, but adapt. Adapting is what I learned a lot in my very first ever draft league. I learned a lot, and one of the main things was to adapt during the battle, because like, sure, web's hyper offense is obviously a good strategy going into every battle you go into, but if they have a good defogger, if they have a good magic coat lead, you know, like if they have just a good counter lead to your initial strategy, it could turn out to backfire, and that's exactly what happened to me in the very first season of the DTC that we ever did. But needless to say, we learned from that. Moving on to DTC season two. This was the very first time that we were able to draft our entire team from start to finish. I do believe I made no team changes whatsoever throughout the entire season. And, oh, I forgot to mention, in season 1 of the DTC, my favorite battle was, let's go find it here real quick, fast, and in a hurry like. We're going to say it was against my man CHRISMEN, a.k.a. coach of the CHRISMEN Wrestlers, I think is what they are, right? CHRISMEN Machokes, maybe? Something like that. Either way, I'm not going to play the full video, obviously. But needless to say, this was a very fun match against my man CHRISMEN. I believe all we did was we got in Kartana, set up a substitute, and won the damn game. Yeah, like in 10 turns, bro. Easily the fastest battle I've ever had in my life. Easily the fastest battle I had in my life. And it was really fun. It was a good time. CHRISMEN was a very inexperienced battler at that time. We actually do end up battling CHRISMEN in a later league in the future, and it is very apparent that he learned a lot in the time between DTC season 1 and the next draft league that we entered together. But needless to say, we're not going to go in deep into that. Now moving on to DTC season 2, we finished the season at 6-4. Like I said, very first time we're ever to draft our full team. Finished the season at 6-4, but once again lost in the first round of the playoffs. This time, I don't remember why. Actually, genuinely don't remember why. I think they were just better. I think they were just a better coach, had a better team, had a better game plan. But either way, like I said, it was the very first draft league we were able to draft the entirety of our team. I believe we took Dragapult in the first round. I think we were actually pick number 1, if I remember correctly, which is why we got Pult. I think we were actually pick number 1, and I had a really cool team in my opinion. I don't remember the exact team. I just remember there was Dragapult, Heatran. I feel like it was Dragapult, Heatran. What was my water type? I don't remember. But I just remember Dragapult, Heatran put in a lot of work for me. Like I said, 6-4. We'll just go straight ahead to the freaking favorite battle of this season was against my man Taylor Pizza. I believe it was Scarf Buzzwole. Yes. Oh, we had a Rotom on this team. Nice. So we had Rotom Heat, not a water type. Who was my water type then? I don't remember. But either way, we had Rotom Heat. Was it a Araquanid again? Might have been. We had freaking Scarf Buzzwole we brought to this match, and I believe I remember saying in the intro, I was just all like, bro, I just want to bring Scarf Buzzwole, so it's exactly what I'm gonna do. I believe I led off with Torterra. No, I didn't lead off with Torterra, but Torterra was on the team as well. And I just want to get to the part where Scarf Buzzwole actually put in some work. Hold on. Where is it? We got Heatran here. Scarf Buzzwole, I believe, clutched up, right? What happened to Dragapult? I don't even know. Scarf Buzzwole definitely clutched up, right? I'm not just imagining this. Yeah, Scarf Buzzwole knocked out everyone else. Yeah, because it started with Tapu Fini, right? Yes, sir. Started with Tapu Fini. He comes in. Oh, I remember vividly as to why this is my favorite now. Because look, in the beginning, this man said, "You shall be my first victory." I'm not going to zoom in on that, but just this man said, "You shall be my first victory." And if we look at the name of his Pokemon, he nicknamed his Pokemon, I think, "I will win this one for sure," I believe is what he named all his Pokemon. So this was just a big, like, yeah, dude, screw you. Like, he had the most confidence going into this match that he was going to beat me. And, bro, Scarf Buzz Wellingtons came in and just wiped the floor with this man. But, yeah, first 2 leagues we entered in. We lost both in the first round of the playoffs. It was, you know, it was a little bit of bittersweet. At that point, I basically chalked it up to, hey, you know, Q just loses to the first round of the DTC. It's just how it happens every time. But needless to say, our very first 2 draft leagues we ever entered in, we made it to the playoffs in both of them. So I was kind of like, I was pretty proud about that, especially not being, like, not knowing a whole lot in the draft, like in competitive Pokemon to begin with, besides what I knew from watching other people's content. I was actually pretty proud of that record. I do have to say that this DTC Season 2, as you can see, lasted for 10 weeks, plus the playoffs. So yeah, 10 weeks for me. It lasted for 10 weeks for me. And I believe I was doing this draft league and 2, possibly 3 other ones at the same exact time. That I was doing this one. I believe I have it in my notes because I remember taking notes on this because there were things I didn't want to forget. Let's see. Yes, in week 2 of the DTC and in week 7 of the DTC Season 2, there was 2 other drafts. So I was doing 3 at once at that one point. The next league we are going to talk about is the PDL. Now, the PDL, this was the first PDL we entered. It was I was itching, bro. Itching to join a Wi-Fi based draft league. I was like, all right, we've been in 2 showdown leagues. I need a Wi-Fi based draft league. This was, I believe, like 1 or 2 months after Sword and Shield had come out. So about November-ish 2019. Yeah, it was around November 2019. That we joined the Prestige. They called it the Prestige Worldwide Draft League. I called it Prestige Draft League because I'll be damned if I was gonna say Prestige Worldwide on my videos every single time. And it was very, like I said, it was very low key. I was the only content creator in the draft league. There was, I believe, 10 of us. Right after we drafted, 2 people dropped out, so now there was only 8 of us. And then after week 6, everyone dropped out, and basically I finished it 6-0. I finished 6 weeks, won all 6 games. Avalugg scared everybody away, which was gonna point us to my which will direct us. It was a good segue to direct us to my favorite battle in that one was, as you can see, Avalugg. Now, just on team preview, like, you know what I mean? I should have won this one a lot easier than what had happened. Definitely should have brought Scarf Dragapult rather than Specs Dragapult for the Darmanitan, because obviously it's gonna be Scarf if he's facing against a Dragapult. But basically, we're gonna fast forward here. I believe I get my Sparks up with Frostlass, Sanduscorch Falls for the taunt for whatever reason. Oh, I was really proud of Dragapult here, living a +1 freaking knockoff from Sanduscorch. Like, look at it. He coiled the first turn, lived a +1 knockoff from Sanduscorch, and in that moment I realized I could U-turn rather than hard swapping because I wasn't choice locked anymore. But either way, let's get to the Piece de Resistance. Let's see, where did it go? So after we exhausted all turns of his G-Max Grimmsnarl's Dynamax turns, we set up Iron Defenses with La Mesa and did not care, and proceeded to quite literally sweep the rest of his team. As I fast forwarded and you didn't see me do any of that. His only time he would have been able to win, in my opinion, was if he would have just On this turn, if he would have just Hydro Pumped twice instead of, I think he tricked his Choice Scarf to me, thinking that was going to stop the sweep. And it did not stop the sweep. But yeah, man, I was a little upset because freaking, I feel like that could have been my very first championship run, especially in a Wi-Fi league. I was 6-0 on top of the world, had a Dragapult that did not care about anybody's opposing teams. It was very early in the meta of Sword and Shield, so no one knew what was going on, especially me. Like, I remember, oh my god, I remember I think it was the first battle, it was one of the first battles, I contemplated whether or not Frostlass naturally outspeeds a Vikavolt. Me looking back at that now, clearly I know Frostlass, base 110 speed, is easily outpacing Vikavolt. I think who has base 47 speed, maybe 57. It's a lowest speed. Vikavolt's slow. And I can't believe I actually contemplated whether or not he outpaced. Frostlass outpaced the Vikavolt naturally. But we learned, needless to say. But yeah, that was, like I said, I think that, in my opinion, that could have been our very first draft league, our very first championship, but it wasn't because everyone left. I like to think I still won that because I was 6-0. I was the team on top. I was the last team standing who still wanted to do the battles because everyone else dropped out. But I'm not going to count it as a true championship because it obviously wasn't. I didn't go into it. Anything had happened. You know what I mean? But needless to say, had a really good time in there. I met some cool people. Still some people I keep in touch with from time to time. So yeah. Wasn't necessarily a complete bust. Now, these next couple draft leagues we're going to talk about, I very vividly remember them all existing at the same time. Up first, we're going to talk about the INT. I believe the INT... so we joined the PDL, the one we talked about just beforehand, in week 2 of DTC Season 2. And then in week 7 of the DTC Season 2, we joined the INT. Or we started the INT, I should say. And then after that... Actually, we'll talk about the next one after this. So either way, INT. We finished the INT. It was started by... Okay, let's not get ahead of ourselves, guys. I should have scripted something for this video, but I'm not a script kind of guy. I like to go off on tangents and just speak my mind. You know what I'm saying? And this is just a one-off video, anyways. I don't see a lot of people watching it, but if you are watching and you made it to this point of the video, hello. Comment down below. Chicago. Either way, INT Draft League. Started by my man, Bretta Cahoots, the Hawaiian homie himself. This was the very first time me and him started talking, and little did we know, it was going to blossom into a beautiful friendship. That is my brother from another Hawaiian mother, and I love that man. Go check out Bretta Cahoots' channel in the description down below. But yeah, he started the INT, otherwise known as the International Nexus Tournament. It was a very small draft league. It was meant to be a Wi-Fi based league, but then we had, I believe, he had 10 people, I believe, signed up for it. The day before we were going to, not a few days before we were going to start drafting, I think 4 people dropped out. Actually, yeah, 4 people dropped out, I believe. So there was only 6 of us left. And of the 6 of us, there were 2 that didn't have access to a Nintendo Switch at the time. So we changed it to a Showdown League, which I was a little upset about, but I was like, you know what? I already joined. There's only 6 of us. I have a 1 in 6 chance of winning this entire league. Let me just go into it and see what we can do. And we ended up finishing 7-0, including the playoff run, and we won that entire league. Very first league championship. If you don't want to count it, by all means, don't count it. I don't care what you think of my accomplishments. I personally am counting it because it was a draft league. We won every single battle. We won the 2 playoff matches because it was only a Final Four because there's only 6 of us. We won the 2 playoff matches, the semifinals and the finals. And it was a good time. It was a really good time. It opened my eyes to the fact that when you're in a smaller draft league pool, everyone's gonna have a broken team because everyone did have a broken team. If I remember my team correctly, it was Dragapult, Sylveon, Pelipper, Seismitoad, Durant, G-Max, Charizard, Rotom-Mow, Conkeldurr, and let's see, that's 9, that's 8. I think we had 10 Pokemon. No, I think that might have been everybody. Some good music. I hope this isn't drowning out my voice. It's probably not. Nah, we're good. But yeah, man. We had a broken team. We had Dragapult X Rotom-Mow X Rain Duo X Sylveon X Kamoro, and then we didn't even need G-Max Charizard most of the time. We actually didn't bring him to 2 matches because he had a terrible matchup. But we can talk real quick about my favorite battle in that league. You know, it was a toss-up between the first battle with Cahoots and the second battle with Cahoots, but they were both against Cahoots. This is the finals. And the only reason why I'm putting this one over that one because it is the finals. I did another main reason why I'm putting it over the first rendition going up against Cahoots was mainly because of how it ended. Like, look at this real quick, fast and in a hurry. Here it is. This turn took us a long time to think about it for a second. And let's just look at this calc for whatever reason, right? So I Dragon Dance in front of a Mimikyu because I brought the dumbest Dragapult set to a finals you could ever bring. It was literally mono, could not hit Mimikyu because I was very much trying to pull off some shenanigans in this finals for no reason. For literally no reason. The team I brought should not have won me the finals in my opinion, but it did because it was just so stupid. So the main goal was to ring target with Rotom-O, ring target Cahoots' Mimikyu so that I could eventually hit it with a Dragon Darts from Dragapult. But I ended up not being able to pull that off, and thus I was put into a position where the only way I could kill Mimikyu was with +3 Sucker Punch. So I had a Dragon Dance in front of Mimikyu. He knocked me down to 1 with a Play Rough. The roll on that, I believe, was 60% in Cahoots' favor to knock me out from full. And he got the low roll. He got the 40. I got the 40% roll in my favor to not knock me out. Look at this stupid set. Dragon Dart, Sucker Punch, Dragon Dance Substitute. Who does that? Me. I'm stupid. But either way, it won us the finals because we ended up clicking Sucker Punch. And we were faster than Mimikins, naturally. And because we were +1. And we were +3 attack, giving us the ability to knock him out from 72%. Because without it, we were doing like 30% minimum with it. And it was just so stupid. But Cahoots was a good sport, and oh crap, I never showed the Cahoots was a good sport, and I never showed the play, and ended up letting us know that like we deserved to win that one. I don't know what I was going with it, what he said. I don't know. All I know is we had like an hour-long interview, and it was a good time. It was my first ever league championship, and I felt really good about it, but I also felt bad about it because I was like, I didn't deserve to win that battle. I really did not. Had I had any other Dragapult set in the game, random Shadow Ball, I would have won that end game like without a shadow of a doubt. But because I was stupid, like weakness policy, Dragon Dance, Sucker Punch, it had to come down to me not dying to Play Rough, which it was a roll. 40% of the time I won that draft league, and 60% of the time Cahoots won that draft league, and needless to say, it was a very good draft league. I loved it. It was a good time. Shout out to Brother Cahoots. Link to his channel in the description down below. Up next, we're talking about the GPT, otherwise known as the Global Pokemon Tournament, a showdown-based league, which started in, if I remember correctly, in week 4 of the INT. So at this time, I was doing DTC Season 2, PDL, GPT, and INT all at the same time. Which was, you know, hey, I was a slut for draft leagues back then. I still am, honestly, because I got 3 coming up the next couple months. But yeah, in the GPT, let's just start by saying it was the first draft league I ever entered in that I missed the playoffs, actually. Not counting the PDL because we didn't necessarily go into playoffs because, like I said, everyone dropped out. But GPT, the Global Pokemon Tournament, was the very first draft league I entered in. That I actually missed the playoffs. We ended up finishing 6-5, which was still above 500 in terms of, you know, games won, games lost. But we still missed the playoffs. But I also learned a lot in that draft league. I really have to, not commend, what's the word? I have to give thanks, is what I'm going to say. I have to give a lot of thanks to the commissioner of that draft league and everyone in that league as a whole, because I learned so much in that league. I learned that was the league where I first started speed creeping. Beforehand, if I had a fast Pokemon, which I wanted it to be speed, which I would just max speed. I would do 2v2 every single time. But Robin, I believe was his name, was the commissioner of that draft league, put me on to speed creeps, which very much came in clutch in a lot of my future leagues. Speed creeping is so good, which if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, let's say I have a Dragapult, base 142, base 142 speed. going up against, say, a Charizard base 100 speed, right? I only need a certain amount of speed to outpace said Charizard, and I can dump the rest of the EVs into HP, into defense, and a Spadef, give me a little extra bulk. You know what I'm saying? That's what speed creeping is. You only give your Pokemon enough EVs it needs to outpace what it needs to outpace, and then you can dump the rest of the EVs into other stats you otherwise wouldn't be using, giving you a little bit of a extra bulk, like I said. So yeah, learned a lot from that. Also learned about the I think I learned the Life Orb, ending it off in intervals of 9 gives you like 1 extra hit. I think I learned Leftovers, having your HP be divisible by 16 gives you the most amount of leftovers recovery. I think something along those lines. I learned some other things. I can't really remember them off the top of my head, but those are the main things. Was speed creeping. Speed creeping was the main thing I learned in the GPT, and I am so thankful for joining that draft league. That allowed me to learn that. And the reason why we did miss playoffs was, I think in the beginning we started off, if I remember correctly, like 4-1, or 4-2. Like we did very well in that draft league. And it was towards the later end, where we started falling off. Because I was doing, I think during the GPT, if I remember correctly, I was doing 5 leagues at the same time at one point. And a lot of them suffered because of that. But I did get my first championship during that time, so the INT was a part of that. So yeah. Up next, we have another draft league called the IPL Open. This one was hosted by Automatic. I don't know why I joined this league, and I'm actually kind of mad that I did join this league, because we ended up finishing at my very worst record ever to date, 1-6. Now, we were 1-6. We didn't win a single game in this draft league. Now, we won one because my opponent just forfeited the match. So I didn't even actually win a match. We ended it at 1-6. Never prepped at all, and we learned from that. But we also learned to not just blindly join draft leagues for no good reason, because had I known this information I'm about to tell you before I joined, I would not have joined. So basically, it was kind of like a speed tour, I think is what they called it. I really don't remember. But either way, after we were done drafting, I'm sure it was in like the introductory details, but I just guess I didn't read it. I just mindlessly joined. So how we did these, how this draft league went about was, it was just an 8-week league. It was an 8-week league, 7-week league, 8-week league. I don't remember. I think it was a 8-week league with everyone getting a bye. Maybe it was a 7-week league. Either way, each week consisted of 2 days. Yeah, that's dumb, right? In my opinion. If I would have known that, would not have joined. So basically, I was doing a battle every 2 days for this league. So I never prepped. I would just form a team. Right like someone's like, hey, you want to battle? I'd be like, sure. I would form a team, didn't record it. There's no videos you're gonna find of this anywhere. Oh, I never looked back at my favorite battle from GPT. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Dragon Darts. It was Dragon Darts, Dragapult clutching up, killing everyone, like knocking out everyone on my man's team. Either way, IPL Open, 1-6. Didn't prep a single bit because of the freaking a game every 2 weeks. That was the dumbest thing I ever heard, in my opinion. I get it if it's like, I get that you wanted to like very quickly go through a draft league. I get that, you know what I mean? But like I said, had I knew that, I would not have joined. Now I'm not saying that you can't win with only 5-minute prep time, because I have won in leagues before with no prep time or 5 minutes prep time. But I just genuinely just didn't care. Once I heard that every week lasted 2 days, I was like, are you kidding me? Why did I join this league? I was kicking myself, bro. I was like, I did not need to join this league, and I didn't want to drop out because it was in a league that Automatic was hosting, meaning it was on his website, meaning it wouldn't have been a good look had I dropped out. Needless to say, it's not a good look that I had a 1-6 record, but it's better than just, dropping out. But yeah, we learned a lot. We learned a lot from that. We already knew going into it that no prep means you have a not a good chance of winning, and good prep, like even just putting in a little bit of prep, gives you at least a slightly higher chance of winning. We already knew that, but we just definitely knew that now, with not prepping a single match and not winning a single game. I definitely want to forget about that draft league, but I also want to remember it to never join a speed tour ever again. Yeah. But after that draft league, actually no, it was after I believe it was the IPL Open, GPT, INT, and the PDL. and like the latter half and the later half of the DTC season 2 were all going on at the same time, because we joined DTC season 3 next up, but we joined that like a week after the INT ended, if I remember correctly, because I was waiting to announce what logo I wanted to use for the DTC season 3. I was waiting to announce to see if I won the INT, because if I won the INT, I was going to make a nice little logo change. And I totally forgot to mention at the beginning of this video, we were the Costa Rican Caracostas. In the INT, we were with Costa Rican Caracostas. We won that draft league. Once we entered the DTC Season 3 and officially won the INT, I officially announced the logo change from Costa Rican Caracostas to the Chicago Dragapults. And the DTC Season 3 was the first iteration of the Chicago Dragapults. We ended up going 10-3 and won that league as well, the second league championship as a coach, the first league championship for the Chicago Dragapults, and it was such a good season, man. I decided to go with the Chicago theme team. It wasn't like it was just mainly the nicknames. I had Dragapult Yveltal, which is broken combo, Suicune, Galarian, Weezing, Rotom-Mow, if I remember correctly. And that was like my big 5. Heatran, cannot forget about Heatran. Loved Heatran in that one. But yeah, it was just such a fun league. Like I said, we were 10-3. We introduced our boy MetaMech to draft leagues. Well, he had already done a draft league beforehand, but we invited him into that league, and it was a good time. Him and Cahoots joined the league with me, and it was just such a good time. And we ended up, like I said, winning the whole damn thing, going to the playoffs. My favorite match was the second match against my man MetaMech. I believe it was the semifinals. Yeah, the semifinals of the playoffs. So the winner of this one would advance on to the finals. And this team was centered around Dragapult setting up in front of Comfey and winning the damn game. And that's exactly what happened. Except I did set up in front of Solgaleo instead of Comfey. But needless to say, the Comfey play did in fact come into play. Hold on, I want to fast forward to it real quick. We're not going to see it. Here it is. Hold on, guys. The freaking chat goes wild when this happens, bro. This is probably, to date, my favorite tech that I came up with for a playoff specifically. Because, bro, this worked out to a T. The Draining Kiss was weakened by the Rosella Berry, only took 32 bits of damage, was able to get the +1 Steel Wing off on the Comfey, and proceed to just win the whole damn game. And as you can see, if you're watching the video, everyone in chat started going crazy. Vindo Hex, whoever that is, Cahoots, Sam SJT said, "Oh snap!" Everyone was excited for the playoff tech, and the only one who wasn't excited was my man MetaMech. But either way, it was my favorite battle in DTC Season 3. Second close favorite is probably Hex Dragapult against my man Scythe. That was also a really good one. But yeah, second league ever, went 10-3. It was a really good time. That finals, in my opinion, we shouldn't have won either, but we came with a team that could beat the team that should have swept us. But yeah, it was a good time. I don't really know how well this video is going to do. We're already at 30 minutes, and I feel like I've just been talking about nonsense. But either way, that was the end of our showdown triumph. This draft league was also going on around the same time as a few other draft leagues that I will talk about. Up next, we have our very first official Wi-Fi draft league, the IBA Season 1.5. Now, this was a randomized draft league, meaning our team was completely randomized by the commissioner live on stream. Go ahead and check out Slightly Salty's channel if you want to. Link to his channel in the description down below. Slightly Salty was the commissioner. I was invited to IBA Season 1.5. And we ended up finishing 5-2. It was a randomized draft league. Met a lot of really cool people. A lot of people I still keep in touch with to this day. The IBA gang, we like to call ourselves, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, we finished 5-2. Didn't make it to the playoffs because they were only doing a final 2, because this draft league was just a buffer draft league in anticipation of the Isle of Armor. So we ended as soon as the Isle of Armor dropped. We ended the draft league. I think it was Wes and Goki Gamer moved on to the finals, and I think Wes won that final. So yeah, it was a good time. My favorite match, I was gonna say it was the very first. No. What was I gonna say? Oh, I was gonna say it was the match against my man JayVee. Because we did bluff a choice scarf, which is the only reason why we won that game. But I had to give it to my man Unaware Clefable. We borrowed this set from a good Twitter friend Lincoln, who almost destroyed, or who did destroy me with this set, but didn't 6-0 me with this set, but who did almost destroy me with this set. But either way, this match, our opponent allowed us to just set up literally for days in front of his Corviknight for whatever reason. Just let us set up. And it gave us our very first 6-0 in Draft League history. So it was pretty fun. It was a nice little milestone we hit with this battle. We were able to 6-0 for the very first time. It was a good time. Shout out to Titan Gaming, aka what's his name now? Monkferno. Who, yeah, we ended up 6-0. I don't really have much else to say about this match besides that it was kind of crazy. It was our very first 6-0. Man was unaware of Unaware Clefable, and I bet he learned from that. Yeah, bet you sweet ass he did. But yeah, like I said, finished off 5-2, learned a lot from that. Met a lot of cool people. Still friends with a lot of them to this day. Up next, we have IBA Season 2. Now, this was the very, very first official Draft League Wi-Fi base that we joined. We ended up finishing 6-5. This league in particular, my team, it was not the first time, but it was one of the first times I didn't get Dragapult. And I just went crazy in the first couple rounds. I drafted Kyurem round 1 for no reason. And this team was good in that it had a lot of button clickers, and that's what I do like to battle like that. But it was also bad because it had no walls whatsoever besides Type Null and Bronzong, and they just weren't doing it for me. I had Runewegus as well, but I stopped using him after week 3. But either way, we finished 6-5 and lost in the first round of the playoffs once again to a familiar opponent in StremiTV. In the regular season, we messed him up with our sub-toxic Roost. We didn't even use Roost, but sub-toxic Kyurem. And then I believe Inteleon swept in the endgame. G-Max Inteleon swept in the endgame. With the best Aqua Jet tech. Oh my god, that was actually a really good video. What's my freaking oh, my favorite. Oh yeah, I was debating on my favorite video for this one as well, whether it was going to be the first battle against my man Wes. And I'm gonna have to give it to the battle against Wes, mainly because he's the one that took our Dragapult from us, and I have never in my history of draft league career have lost to an opposing Dragapult user. So I was glad I was able to to win against Wes. And in this turn right here that you're gonna see, if it happens quickly, I'll let you know. Basically, he sacked off his Dragapult. He had forgotten that we flame charged the what's that damn thing called? He had forgotten that we flame charged the freaking Ferrothorn, and then we were +1 speed, and then we were +2 from the Swords Dance. So he sent out Dragapult to die on accident. He didn't know. You know what I mean? He didn't know. He sent him out. It was Shiny Pult, so we at least gave him, you know, the benefit of the doubt. But yeah, it was it was a good time. That was probably my favorite battle. I don't know. I had a lot of in the later season. Okay, here we go. We get to talk about it now. I remember this season was going on simultaneously with DTC Season 3. And I like to call it the championship weekend, because I prepped my ass off for the championship weekend. It was the finals match in the DTC. At the same time, I fought, I believe, Stremi in week 7. Was it week 7? Week 7. It was week 7. There was also a Little Cup League match that happened at the same time that we'll talk about in a little bit. That I am actually going to count. Spoilers. But yeah, actually, let's just go to it real quick. The match with Strem. Freaking Sub Kyurem just went ham in that match, bro. And it happened during championship weekend. Like I said, I had 3 battles all in the same night. I prepped my ass off for those battles, except for the PLCL one, because I just didn't care about Little Cup. And my improvement my prep definitely showed, because I had not slept that whole day. I was literally running on G Fuel and sheer determination. And this is probably a close second for my favorite draft league match in IBA season 2. But I don't know where I was going. I don't know where I was going with this with showing this video. But yeah, needless to say, we've done pretty well so far in our draft league career. You know what I mean? Last but not least, we have the PLCL, which we've ended up finishing 6-3. It was our first time trying Little Cup, and we actually won the championship. Fun fact of the day. We won that whole championship. Shout out to the Phantom Michael, commissioner of that draft league, who we lost to in the regular season. Didn't really expect much going into this draft league. I was just gonna click buttons and have fun, because it is Little Cup. I didn't know a thing about it. I did learn that EVs are a lot different when making level 5 Pokemon versus the level 50 or 100 Pokemon, as well as damage calcs are really weird in that draft league. But needless to say, we did win it out at 6-3. Had a good time. And yeah, it gave us our 3rd championship belt underneath our coaching title. You know what I mean? As a coach, I've won 3 draft leagues, which I'm pretty proud of. Not gonna lie. Most one I'm proud of, I would have to be the DTC season 3, because it was Chicago themed. It wasn't Uber's draft league, but it was still fun. It was really fun. Uber's draft league was so fun. Oh my god, especially having Dragapult and Yveltal as a combo. Bro, it was kind of broken. And Suicune, bro, it was kind of broken. I don't know how they let me get those Pokemon. But we did. And with that being said, we're going to round out to the stats. I believe, if I did my math correctly, overall, my draft league record is 59-31, giving me a 65.5% winning percentage anytime I queue up a battle in the draft league format, which is kind of crazy when you really think about it in the grand scheme of things. Meaning more than half of the time, I'm winning these battles, bros. Like, I'm just winning them. More than half of the time. 65% of the time when I just queue up a battle, I'm winning, which is a good percentage. A lot higher than I actually thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be on the lower end. Had we not done the IPL Open, I think I did the math. Had we not, no, I didn't even know. Let me just do the math real quick, fast, and in a hurry then. Had we not won the IPL Open, that would have knocked 6 games off of, let's see, so that would have knocked 6 losses off. And I don't think I counted the win, but let's say we did. That would have put us at 58-20. So we played a total of 90 draft league battles over our first year of competitive Pokemon. We've played 90 battles of Pokemon Draft League, and we've won 59 of them, and we lost 31 of them. Now, had we not joined the IPL Open, we would have only played 83 battles, and we would have still won 59 of them. So 59 out of 83, we would have lost 20. We would have lost 26. How do I do this equation again? Out of 83, so is it 83 divided by 59 times 100? That's not it. Either way, how do we do this? It was 59 out of 83. Oh, there it is. Okay. So we would have won 71% of our draft league matches had we never joined the IPL Open, which when you think about it is an insane winning percentage. It's actually an insane winning percentage, and I cannot wait to see what the future holds for me in draft league content. After the day after this video goes up, which hopefully this is going up on Friday, October 30th. The day after this video goes up, you will see the draft analysis for our very first draft league in the Crown Tundra. It's going to be the very first of many draft leagues we do in the Crown Tundra, because while I'm not going to be doing 4 or 5 draft leagues at the same time anymore, we are going to be doing 3 draft leagues for the Crown Tundra. So stay tuned for those very soon, coming up very soon. Man, I really probably should have scripted us. I should have made a script for this video, because I don't think I had a coherent conversation with myself in the slightest. I'm sure there's things I wanted to mention that I just forgot, but I guess we've done really well for ourselves in Draft League. I can be very proud of myself in terms of how I've battled, how I've carried myself. I've learned a lot. I've learned incrementally. That's not a word. I've learned a lot. You know, draft league by draft league. Like, how many did we join? We joined 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We joined 11 draft leagues in a span of a year. From September to September, we started and completed, besides the PDL, that everyone quit in. We started and completed 11 draft leagues. It's kind of fucking crazy when you really think about it. In a whole year, we did 11 leagues. It's kind of wild. But yeah, man. With that being said, I'm going to be QtheCostaRican. I've been QtheCostaRican. If y'all like this song, subscribe to like. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you're new. Check out the description for all the draft league playlists that I have recorded down there, as well as all the commissioners of these draft leagues. Links to their channels in the description down below if they have channels, as well as pay attention to the draft leagues in the future, man. There's nothing but great, just more great content coming your way on this channel in the future. I'm going to try to do a lot of more streams as well. But with that being said, I'm going to get up out of here. I've been talking for 45 minutes. Peace.